Hey guys, John Soda here, back again doing another movie review, and today we will be reviewing Scream 2. Now, if you guys saw my review for Scream 1 that I did last week, you guys may remember that I said that I can't decide which Scream movie is the best because I have two ties, and that is between the first Scream and this. And yeah, I pretty much said that I keep fighting between this and the first Scream for which one is my favorite, because I think that both the first two Scream movies are equally amazing, and I love this movie so much. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. It is an amazing movie. I would definitely love to put it at number one, but like I said, I keep fighting between that and the first Scream. So yeah, but I just love this movie. Like, it was an amazing sequel. It really lived up to the first, and Wes Craven did an amazing job, and the fact that this was even made just 1 year after the first Scream is impressive. So yeah, I really enjoyed Scream 2, and like, Wes Craven, he has a huge heart with all these movies actually, and that's what's great about the Scream movies, is none of them are bad. Like, every single Scream movie is great, and Wes Craven made all the Scream movies from Scream 1 to Scream 4. He didn't make Scream 5, that was directed by a different guy, but I'll get to that once we get to Scream 5 though. What was I gonna say? But Wes Craven, yeah, he is an amazing director. He also made Nightmare on Elm Street, as you guys may know. But alright, let's talk about Scream 2. Now, Scream 2 is great. Like, there are still like very cool kills in this movie. Amazing villains, what else? Like, great premise, very suspenseful, and the characters are still yet again amazing. So yeah, and let's get on to talking about all the characters. So first off, we start off with Sydney, which Sydney, she is still really cool in this movie, like in the first, and she's not dramatized from the stuff that happened in the first one. She's literally just trying to get over it. Like, she's like she's starting to have a new life. Like, she's starting to get a new life and forget about everything in the first one. Like, she's not like dramatized like many stars from other horror franchises are. She's literally just like, okay, that happened, move on. Yeah, so I really like that a lot about her. She did not get all that drama like get into her, like, for like the rest of the movies, you know. So yeah. And in this movie, she has new friends. Like, she has a new best friend. She has like another new friend named Mickey, and then she even gets a boyfriend too, which, like, another fucking boyfriend, which is funny. So yeah, and the fact that she's even going through all this shit again with the killer, like, you kind of feel bad for her too, that she's going through all of that again, and you can just so tell she doesn't want to, like, she wants to survive, and she really like hates being the star. Like, she's the star again for Scream 2, and even the killers acknowledge it. And what else? And like, this movie even understands it's being a sequel too, because like, we get a lot of the characters talking about sequels too. Like, I love that little scene where they're in the classroom when they're talking about the sequels that beat the first one, like Godfather Part 2 and Aliens, and then even The Empire Strikes Back. And I loved when they mentioned that movie, because you guys may know that is my favorite movie of all time, and that is like the best sequel that beat the first. So yeah, I really love that scene a lot. And what else? So yeah, about Sydney, yeah, she's still really cool. She's still very tough. She's still very brave. Like, she can fight the killers like really hard too, and she shines a lot throughout the whole movie. And then she even has two fucking detective bodyguards watching for her. And yeah, so she's cool. What else was I gonna say? And then we get on to the other characters, like Dewey, which Dewey is yet again really cool, and I love this character. And he's still a cop. Oh wait, is he still a cop? Yeah, it doesn't show that he's a cop in this movie, but he's still trying to investigate on the whole killer thing and all of that. Like, he wants to, like, since this is happening again, he has no problems with doing it again, and he's doing it with his other friends too, like Gail and Randy, and he has a huge connection with Randy in this movie, which was cool. And what else? And then his relationship with Gail even like grows more. But in this movie, like, when it starts off, at first they're having trouble with their relationship, and like, they're kind of like, they don't know if they're in love. But that's pretty much every single Scream movie, to be honest. Is every Scream movie starts off with Gail and Dewey having trouble with their relationship, and then in the end they fall in love. That's pretty much every single Scream sequel. But I can't brag too much about this one, because this is the first time they did that. What else? So yeah, his relationship grows a lot with Gail, and then towards the end, when he falls in love with Gail, it's just so cute when they make out in the auditorium and all of that. And what else? And he has a lot of cool moments in this movie too, and he has a very emotional moment at the end. But I'll get to that once I talk about the ending. Anything else I should say? And then we get on to Gail. And Gail, she is really cool in this movie. She's a reporter yet again, and she wants to she doesn't just want to do this investigating for her story. Like, of course she's still a reporter, but she's also investigating because she's investigating, you know, because like she's going through all this again, and like she's not just doing it for a story, she's doing it to be like a little heroic too. So yeah. And she what else? And she's very sympathetic in this movie too, and she has a huge heart in this movie too that wasn't in the first one. um Anything else? And she has a really funny like little relationship with her cameraman. It's not like a love relationship, it's like a little like friend, like cameraman reporter relationship thing. It's so funny because the cameraman's like, I read your book and it said your last cameraman got gutted up. Yeah, those scenes are really funny. And then even Gail gets punched again in this movie by Sydney, which is hilarious. um Anything else about Gail? I think that should be it about Gail, but she was cool. And then we get on to Randy, and Randy is yet again my favorite character. I loved Randy so much, and he's the one that I can relate to the most in this movie. And like, he and he like and he's a genius with like this whole movie thing and all that. He still loves movies a lot, and he's even, and I love that scene where him and Dewey are talking about who the victims, who like the suspects should be to being the killer. He says, Gail, you never know, or you, Dewey, and he's like, how do we know you're not the killer? And he's like, good point. Yeah, a lot of funny moments like that with Randy, and he is yet again has a huge heart, and he cares a lot for Sydney, and he cares a lot for all his friends, and he doesn't want anything bad to happen to them. And yeah, and he has a lot of cool moments, and he's still really brave in this movie. Like, he was brave enough to talk shit about Billy to the killer, and that was cool. Um, Anything else about Randy, I should say? Yeah, Randy doesn't do much, but he does have like a very emotional scene in this movie, which, oh yeah. If you guys haven't seen this movie, I will get into a lot of spoilers in this review, so please leave this review if you haven't seen this movie already. But I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen Scream 2. But that really emotional scene in this movie is when Randy dies. Like, that was very, very sad. Like, that's my only flaw with this movie, is they shouldn't have killed off Randy that early on in the series. Like, they should have had him live till fucking Scream 5, or at the very least Scream 4. Like, he should have like been like one of the main heroes for the original trilogy, but they killed him off so early, like, and in such a brutal way too. Like, this was probably the most violent kill of the movie, when like when Billy's talking shit, when Randy's talking shit about Billy to the killer, because the killer's like, you will never be the hero, and no matter what, you will never get the girl. And I felt really, really sad for Randy right there, how he got largely offended like that and then killed. So yeah, and then the killer takes him in the van and starts stabbing him and stabbing him and stabbing him, and it's so dark, so gruesome. Yeah, that was really, really sad. And the fact that they even saw his whole body and they all screamed, and then the cameraman fainted, that was a really sad scene. Um, any other characters in this movie? Oh yeah, and then there's this other character named Cotton Weary, which in the first Scream, he was framed by Billy and Stu, that he was the one that raped and killed Sydney's mom, and Sydney even believed that. But then it's proven that he didn't, that it was Billy and Stu, and so he's freed from prison, and what he wants is fame. Like, he really wants to like have his story be well known. Like, he thinks Sydney is like the next step in living. Like, Sydney's like the best thing that ever happened to him, because he can like become famous, and he can tell his story, and he even has a bunch of interviews with all these famous people, and he really wants fame. And I really like that a lot about Cotton. Cotton was a pretty cool character. At first he seems a little like suspicious, maybe he could be the killer, but then by the end he's not. Like, he's just some guy who wants fame, who really wants to help out Sydney, and like, he has a lot of heart in him. And the fact that this guy was even the one that they pinned the killer on was just sad. So yeah, Cotton was a really cool character, and he really had a heroic moment at the end. And what else? What else was I gonna say? And yeah, Connor was cool, and I love those little scenes where he's talking with Sydney, where he's trying to ask her like, "Hey, give me this interview, give me this interview." Yeah, those scenes were pretty funny actually. Anything else about Cotton I should talk about? I think that should be it about Cotton, but he was cool. And then there are other side characters in this movie too who aren't really like main characters. They're just like side characters, like Sydney's like friends and her boyfriend, which I did like the boyfriend a lot. I thought he was super chill. He was like 100% like a big upgrade from the last boyfriend, because he was actually a really good guy. He was chill. He cared a lot about his education, and he was gonna be a doctor. And the fact that this was gonna be Sydney's boyfriend was like, the fact that this was Sydney's boyfriend was so cute, and the fact that at the end they even kill him off was so sad, and the fact that he was like, Sydney, I would have never done anything to hurt you, like that was so sad, because that guy was super chill. He had a huge heart. Like I really cared for that guy, but then they killed him off. um yeah, it's like two huge two huge characters with like the two characters with the most hearts die in this movie, and that was pretty sad. um any other characters? And then there's Mickey, and Mickey, like at first he seems like some random friend who's just like there, and he's like supporting Sydney. And then there was even that one scene where he was trying to calm her down in the police station, which that was a cool scene. And yeah, Mickey was cool, but there's more to him once I talk about the end though. And Sydney's friend in the movie, she was okay, but definitely my least favorite character of the movie. I mean, she wasn't bad, she just wasn't really one I was interested in. And then there were other side characters like Marine in the beginning, played by Jada Pinkett Smith, and I love that opening scene, by the way, with the theater, with like the sneak peek to stab. That was an iconic opening. Like that was as good of an opening as Scream One's opening, to be honest, because this like had a lot of like they like what was I gonna say? Like Wes Craven put a lot of thought to this scene, because we have like this two African American couple going to see a movie together. At first, it's all chill, and they're gonna go see a movie that was based on the true story, and then all of a sudden, the killer comes, and then he stabs the guy in the ear in the bathroom stall, which was pretty dark, and then he stabs the girl in front of everybody in the theater, and she even screams. She screams to the whole theater, and that part was pretty sad, if you ask me. Yeah, but I love that scene so much. And that scene was even funny too, because those two African American couples, like they were hilarious. Like Marie and Steven, I think was his name. They were very funny in that scene. Anything else I should say? And then there's another character that I think her name was CeCe. Yeah, her name was CeCe, and she was played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. And it's so funny because we get two Scooby-Doo actors in like the same franchise. We got Shaggy in the first one with being Stu Macher, and then now Daphne, and she's CeCe. Yeah, that was pretty funny. And the scene with her was really cool too, where she dies, like where the killer's chasing her around the fraternity house, and then like they end up on the balcony, and he stabs her and then throws her off the balcony, which was a pretty cool scene. And I love that scene a lot. That was a cool kill, like being thrown off the mansion or whatever. And not only that, but I also love this little moment too, where he wipes off the blood off the knife. It's because like when he does that, a little song plays in the background, which is actually one of my favorite songs. If you guys saw my video, my top 20 favorite songs video that I did a couple months ago, then you guys may know that The Swing by Everclear is number 8 of my favorite songs, and that song was in this movie, and I loved it so much, and ever since I watched this movie, I've been very obsessed with that song. So I just love when that song comes on in that movie with that scene. Anything else I should talk about? Any other kills? Oh yeah, and I thought the killer's motivation was pretty cool actually. The fact that it was Billy's mom, and Billy's mom was like trying to do the sequel, like kind of like her son did the first one, with killing like many victims with the same names of the victims from the first movie, like Marine, Steven, who were the people that died in the opening of the first Scream, and yet again the opening of this. And then CeCe, which is her name was Casey, like Casey in the other one. Anything else I should say? So yeah, the killer was basically just redoing like the deaths of the first victims with the same name. So yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting actually. Like I like that motivation and the fact that it was Billy's mom and like she literally just wanted revenge off Sydney. Yeah, simple motivation and very compelling. Um, Anything else I should talk about? Any other kills in this movie that I liked? And then there was like this one kill that I really dug in the movie with like the cops when like Sydney's two bodyguards die, and then like he stabs one of them, and then one of them gets on top of the car, and then the killer like gets in a car accident, but he does that on purpose with these like little pipes or whatever, and the pipe goes through that guy's eye, and that looked pretty gruesome, and yeah, that looked pretty like terrifying actually. Um, Anything else I should say? And that scene was very suspenseful too when they were trying to get out of the car, but the killer was knocked out and they couldn't even get out from the back seat, so they had to go to the front and they had to like crawl like through him. And the fact that you never knew if he was gonna wake up or not was made it super suspenseful. Um, any other things I should talk about in this movie? Oh yeah, and I also love that one scene in the play, like when Sydney was rehearsing the play, and they were just like acting it, and then they were there. It was like this masquerade play, like this little Greek play, and then the killer ends up showing up in that. Like they all have masks similar to the killer, but then she sees the killer right there, and she's so scared that he's gonna kill him, and that scene was pretty scary actually. Um, any other scenes in this movie? I think we should start talking about the ending now, which I really loved the ending a lot when we learned that the killer was not only killing the previous victims with the same names, but he was also recording the sequel himself too. Like he was actually recording the deaths, and he actually had the camera and everything. And they even Gail and Dewey even saw that on TV, and they thought that was like really scary. And then the camera even ends up behind them and the killer's like right near them, and that was a very suspenseful scene where the killer was chasing after them. And this was a very emotional scene where I think Gail and Dewey split up, and then Dewey's like trying to call for Gail, but she can't hear him because it's like through like the glass, like the soundproof glass. And then the killer stabs Dewey so many times, and it's so emotional because you think he's gonna die right here, and it even makes it seem like he dies, and it's so sad. But then at the end, he ends up living. So hooray! But that was a very emotional scene just to see Gail's reaction to that, and her seeing her like her boyfriend dying, like was really like you felt really bad for her right there. And that whole scene was super suspenseful too, where the killer was trying to go after her too, but she kept locking the door. She kept being sneaky and like going through like the studio and all of that. That was a very suspenseful scene. Anything else? So yeah, I really like that scene a lot. And then she even thought Con was the killer, and then she runs into Billy's mom, but then Billy's mom ends up being the killer. And then the second killer is Mickey, which I really dug that actually. And I thought Mickey's motivation was solid. How he wanted to have a trial that where you should blame the movies that make psychos. And yeah, he wanted a trial like that, and that's why he did all of this. So yeah, and I thought that was a pretty cool motivation, and he even wanted to get caught too, which made him like look like a fucking psycho. So yeah, Mickey, he was a huge psycho towards the end. And the fact that he even wanted to kill Sydney, but Sydney was like, "You're forgetting one thing. I killed Billy Loomis," and that was a pretty cool scene. And what else? And then Billy's mom, like when she revealed herself, it was very scary because she actually literally looks like like a like a scary like old lady, like Pamela Voorhees. Like she really like resembled her. And yeah, like the actress who played her, she did a phenomenal job because you actually thought that this is a crazy ass old lady, and her face expressions, the way she was talking, just made her really scary. So yeah, and that whole scene where she was like throwing all the artifacts from the play at her was pretty cool. And it was really cool when Cotton showed up, and then like Billy's mom had Sydney at gunpoint. She was like, "Don't shoot me, shoot Sydney. Like you know it. Like she's the one that caused you all this pain. Just kill her." But then he's like, "No." And then like at first he's tricking her. He's like, "Okay, I'm gonna shoot her." And then he asks Sydney about the interview, and she's like, "Consider it done." And then Cotton shoots Billy's mom, and that was cool. So yeah, he definitely was the hero at the end. and it was really funny slash like it's kind of a jump scare too, but it was funny when Mickey shows up in the back, because like at first you think he's dead from Billy's mom shooting him, but then he shows up from the back because they're like, this is when the killer comes back, and it's not Billy's mom, it's Mickey, and then it's so funny, and then they keep shooting him and shooting him, and he just goes flying. I don't know, that scene always just cracks me up. So yeah, I really like that. So yeah, phenomenal ending to this movie. Yeah, and I really liked how Sydney, like all the reporters were all up on Sydney, but she was like, talk to Cotton, he's the hero, and Cotton was like, this will make a hell of a movie. So yeah, great ending to the movie, phenomenal movie, and obviously I'm giving it an A+. So yeah, bye, and see you all in the next review.